Okay, so today you guys are starting Unit 6. We're going to be multiplying and dividing exponents this time. So we have already added and subtracted them and expanded. Today we want to, 6.1, write the expressions in exponential form. So what we need to do to write an expression in exponential form, step 1, we need to expand that exponent, which we've had lots of practice doing in Unit 5. So we're going to write out each and every term. Step 2, we want to regroup the terms. So we want to get all of the numbers together, we want to get all of the x's together, and we want to get all of any other kind of variable together. So we're going to regroup them so all of the like terms are together. And then step 3, we're just going to simplify. So let's look at example 1. Now example 1 is 5g, all of that squared. So since the squared term is attached to the parentheses, that means we're multiplying everything inside of the parentheses twice. So the first thing we want to do is we want to expand this. So this is the same as saying 5g times 5g. Now to regroup these terms, we want to get the 5's next to each other and the g's next to each other. So we can rewrite this as 5 times 5 times g times g. Now remember, this is the commutative property of multiplication. That tells us that we can multiply terms in any order and we're still going to get the same answer. So what we want to do after this is to, step 3, simplify. So then to simplify, we want to multiply the like terms that we can. So 5 times 5 gives me 25, and g times g is the same as g squared. So this is our final answer. We expanded the whole thing, and then we regrouped the 5 so they were next to each other, and the g's so they were next to each other, and then we simplified that. So we got 25g squared. All right, so example 2, we have 4g to the third. So what we want to do for step 1, we want to expand it. So that means this 3 is attached to the parentheses. So we have to multiply everything inside the parentheses 3 times. So this is 4g times 4g times 4g. And then what we want to do is we want to regroup these. So this is the same as 4 times 4 times 4, because remember we always put the numbers first, times g times g times g. Now 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 gives me 16. Times 4 again gives me 64. And g times g times g, I'm multiplying g 3 times, so that's the same as g to the third. So my final answer for this one will be 64g to the third power. So now let's look at a fraction, example 3. 8 over 9 squared. Now remember, the 2 is attached to the parentheses, so it's the whole thing multiplied by itself. So this is the same as 8 over 9 times 8 over 9. And we want to group these things. So remember, when we multiply a fraction, we can multiply straight across. So that's going to give me 8 times 8 gives me 64, all over 81. Okay, and then 64 over 81, can that reduce at all? Well, factors of, let's try 81. 3 goes into that, but 3 doesn't go into 64. 2 doesn't go in. 4 doesn't go in, so this would be my final answer. 64 over 81. Okay, so let's try another one. Example 4. We have 1 over 4 to the third power. So 1 over 4 to the third power, remember I need to multiply this guy 3 times now. So it's 1 over 4 times 1 over 4 times 1 over 4. And then I can just multiply straight across. So 1 times 1 times 1 gives me 1. And we already did this already. 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 gives me 16. Times 4 again gives me 64. So my answer for this is going to be 1 over 64. So let's look at example 5. This time I want to go backwards. These are already expanded, and now I want to write it in exponential form. So what I'm going to do here is I need to look at my x's. Now I'm multiplying x times x 2 times and y times y 3 times. So this is going to be the same as x to the second power times y to the third power, and that's all we have to do there. So now it's already expanded and we're going backwards, so we're writing it in exponential form. Okay, last example, example 6 is very similar. We have 7 over 10 and we're multiplying that 1, 2, 3 times. So to write this in exponential form, all I have to do is put my 7 over 10 in parentheses, and that is being raised to the third power. So this time what we're doing, from expanding, we are going backwards. So we're taking everything that is expanded and then putting it all back together.